Most people believe their life will change on the day motivation finally shows up and stays. They think one morning they will wake up excited, energized, ready, fearless, and disciplined. And from that day forward, everything will be different. But let me tell you something I learned the hard way, and I learned it not from a book, but from observing life itself. Motivation is a visitor, not a resident. It knocks, stays for a while, gives you a glimpse of what's possible, and then quietly leaves. And when it leaves, it doesn't take your responsibilities with it. Life still expects results. Bills still arrive. Time still moves. Dreams still demand action. The real question is not what you do when motivation is high. The real question is what decisions you make when motivation is gone. I remember once speaking with a man who told me he was waiting to feel inspired before starting his business. He said, "When I feel ready, I'll go all in." I smiled and asked him a simple question. "How long have you been waiting?" He paused, looked down, and said, "About 7 years. You see, life does not reward readiness. Life rewards response, and response is a decision. The people who succeed are not the people who feel like it every day. They are the people who decided long ago what they would do regardless of how they felt. Motivation is emotional. Decisions are intellectual. Emotions rise and fall like the weather, but decisions, when made properly, become anchors. When motivation disappears, the emotional fuel tank is empty, and that is when character takes over. That is when the decisions you made in advance either carry you forward or expose the fact that you never truly decided at all. Because deciding is not wishing. Deciding is not hoping. Deciding is not hoping. Deciding is not saying, "I'll try." Deciding is saying, "This is who I am now, and this is what I do." Let me tell you a story. There was a farmer who planted crops every year, but only watered his fields when he felt like it. Some days he was enthusiastic, singing as he worked. Other days he stayed inside because he didn't feel motivated. At the end of the season, he stood in an empty field wondering why nothing grew. His neighbor, on the other hand, watered every morning at the same time, whether he felt inspired or tired, whether the sun was shining or the wind was cold. When harvest came, one field was empty and the other was full. The difference was not talent. The difference was not luck. The difference was not luck. The difference was the decisions made on the days when motivation was gone. Life is not built on big moments. Life is built on small decisions repeated over time. When motivation fades, you have 3 choices. You can quit, you can pause, or you can proceed anyway. Most people quit silently. They don't announce it. They just slowly stop showing up. They stop reading. They stop practicing. They stop planning. They stop pushing. And one day they look around and wonder how they ended up so far from the life they once wanted. It wasn't one big failure. It was a series of small decisions made when motivation was gone. The greatest danger is not lack of motivation. The greatest danger is allowing your feelings to vote on your future every single day. Feelings are poor decision makers. They change their mind too often. If you let how you feel determine what you do, then consistency will never be your companion. Discipline begins the moment you decide that your future is more important than your current mood. That is a decision. And once that decision is made, behavior follows, even when enthusiasm does not. I once met a young man who wanted to improve his health. He told me he was waiting for the motivation to exercise. I asked him, "What happens if motivation never comes?" He laughed and said, "Then I guess I won't." And there it was. His future held hostage by a feeling. You don't wait to feel good to take care of yourself. You take care of yourself so that one day you feel good. The decision comes first. The feeling comes later. That is how life works, whether we like it or not. The most powerful decisions are pre-decisions. Decisions you make before the temptation arrives. Decisions you make before the alarm clock rings. Decisions you make before fatigue sets in. When you decide in advance what kind of person you are, you remove the daily debate. You don't argue with yourself every morning. You don't negotiate with your excuses. You already decided. And once a decision is made, execution becomes simpler, even if it is not easier. When motivation is gone, routines become your best friend. Routines are decisions put on autopilot. They don't ask how you feel, they simply ask, is it time? And When it's time, you act. That is why successful people protect their routines fiercely. They know that when emotions fail them, systems will save them. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your decisions. Here's something else most people don't realize. Motivation does not create progress. Progress creates motivation. Action creates momentum. When you do the right thing, even when you don't feel like it, something remarkable happens. Confidence begins to grow quietly. Self-respect increases. You start trusting yourself. And one day, motivation shows up again, not because you waited for it, but because you earned it through action. The story of your life is not written on the days you feel inspired. It is written on the days you feel inspired. It is written on the days you feel tired, discouraged, doubtful, and uncertain. Those are the days that reveal who you are becoming. Anyone can act when it's easy. Anyone can show up when the energy is high. But champions, leaders, builders, and achievers are shaped on ordinary days, making ordinary decisions in the absence of excitement. Let me be clear. This is not about being harsh with yourself. It is about being honest. It is about understanding that success is not a mood. Success is a direction, and direction is chosen, not felt. When motivation disappears, remind yourself why you started. Not the emotional reason, but the meaningful one. The responsibility, the promise. The future version of yourself who is counting on the decisions you make today. I often say that we all must suffer one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. Every time motivation leaves and you still choose to act, you place a small brick in the foundation of your future. Skip enough days, and the foundation weakens. Honor enough days, and the foundation weakens. And one day you look back amazed at what consistency built. The moral of this story is simple but demanding. Your life does not change when you feel motivated. Your life changes when you decide who you are when motivation is gone. That is where real power lives. That is where ordinary people separate themselves from the few who create extraordinary results. Decide once, decide clearly, and then let your actions follow that decision long after the feeling has faded. Because in the end, motivation is a spark, but decisions are the fire. And fires, when tended daily, can light up an entire life.